Well, I've always been wanting to come in here, and I have, in fact, in the past, the distant past. I came in for exhibits, and I knew they had a large collection of clothing, which was a great interest of mine, especially 18th century clothing. So I was thrilled to see that at one time, and I just kind of wanted to eventually get working here in some capacity. I was a member of a doll club for many years also. I collect antique dolls, and now I'm into vintage dolls, and I've pretty much reached the end of my collecting. I retired in 2004 from teaching art at Greencastle, Pennsylvania, in the school district there, and one day I got a phone call out of the blue, and it was Becky Roberts, and she apologized for tracking me down, but I was really delighted, and she said, we have things that I think you could help with, your knowledge of antique clothing and historical dress. She arranged for me to come in, and I began working by myself in the clothing section, which is huge. We have racks and racks of all kinds of clothing. We have clothing that's for every day. We have uniforms. There are costumes that people wore, kind of like Indian costumes. There's nurses' uniforms, and so on and so forth. And they dated from the early, late 18th century to right up till today. We began to work with that, and then we began to go through the collection, checking the information as far as what was in the computer, what was on the paperwork, and correcting as much as we could. And we went through everything. Then later on, we went down to the dolls, and we started to look through the doll collection. That turned out to be a pretty interesting thing. A lot of the dolls needed to be repaired. Certainly some of them needed to be cleaned. I did a lot of cleaning with a special wax, which did wonders on their faces and brought them to life. And we sorted through the clothing that came with them and wrapped them up again and reboxed them. We had a lady come who was an expert on clothing, and especially 18th century clothing. So we had the men's things out. She looked at this one piece and got extremely excited because it was a man's banyan, which is like a at-home robe, fancy robe that men wear. She said they're extremely rare, and so it was a find in the collection.